Welcome to Film and Page. I'm Dominic. So I finally got around to seeing Terminator Dark Fate a couple weeks ago. It was on sale for $1 on Telus On Demand, so I figured, well, a dollar is practically free nowadays, so I'm going to check this, see what this train wreck is like. And it's exactly what I thought it was going to be. It completely met my expectations, with a few slight surprises here and there. And I'm glad I didn't go see it in the theater. Just everything that I read about that movie when it was coming out, I knew it was going to be terrible because the last three Terminator movies that came before it were bad. So I didn't see any reason to think why this was going to be any different. I had that last bit of hope that when James Cameron would return to the Terminator franchise, we'd get a good Terminator movie, but since he doesn't seem to care about the Terminator at all anymore, and he was just kind of like a producer, co-writer on this one, just seems like he doesn't care at all. He's just too into the Avatar thing. So I tried to do a review video on Terminator Dark Fate, and I did it 4 times. I re-recorded it 4 times, and I just wasn't into it. I just kept rambling on like a lunatic, and there was nothing that really I could say about the movie that hasn't already been said. There was nothing that I could really bring that was new. But I did want to do some kind of a Terminator video after watching that film. So instead of doing a review of Terminator Dark Fate, I've decided instead to rank all of the Terminator films that I've seen so far, that have been out so far. And how I'm going to do this, I'm going to start off with the absolute worst and work my way up to my favorite Terminator film. So without wasting another moment, let's get into it. So right off the bat, we're going to start right at the bottom, the absolute bottom of the barrel. Terminator Genesis, which came out in 2015. This movie was the straw that broke the camel's back for me. I had given the Terminator franchise 2 chances before. This was like 3 strikes you're out kind of deal. Went to the theater and seen this, and it was kind of like the greatest hits of the Terminator franchise, this movie. And it was like going to see your favorite rock band and expecting to see that, but you end up just going to a casino and you end up seeing a bad cover band doing the same songs that your favorite band would be doing. That's what it reminded me of. It was just terrible. I didn't like what they did to the character John Connor. They made him into a Terminator, like almost like a nanite Terminator. Hated the idea of pops, and they had to come up with this convoluted time travel thing to explain why the Terminator T-800 is old, because he's been around so long that the flesh on the outside has aged over top of the endoskeleton. So I thought, I don't know, it just seemed ridiculous. Like Arnold was just aged out of it, and I didn't like the recasting of Sarah Connor and Kyle Reese. I didn't think either one of those actors pulled it off. And the other thing is the whole resetting everything. It kind of undoes the Sarah Connor story arc in the first Terminator film. It removes that, so it kind of gets rid of a very, very good story arc that is one of my favorite character arcs in movies. And then the one thing that stands out about me about this film was not actually the film itself. It's when we left the theater and we went, me and my friends, we went for dinner. We're having dinner and we're all discussing why we didn't like, we were kind of discussing why we liked or didn't like the movie. And one of the waitresses that was serving us came over and she asked us where we had just come from, and we told her we went and seen the new Terminator movie and that we didn't like it and how horrible it was. And her response, she just shrugged and said, "Oh well, what do you expect? It's a Terminator." So then it just really set in. This is how far gone in the toilet this franchise is. No one would have said that about Terminator or Terminator 2 back in the day. Those movies were so held up so high, but this is where this is how far downhill the franchise has gone. So after I saw this movie, I said, I'll never go back to see in the theaters to go see another Terminator movie. Which brings us to the next one. Terminator Dark Fate. So I have to admit, this is a step up above Terminator Genesis, but Terminator Genesis is a very low bar in my opinion. It's got a better story than Terminator Genesis. It doesn't have this weird, super convoluted time travel plot. It does involve time travel, but basically it's just a redo of Terminator 2. Well, now I'll talk about some of the things I did like about the movie. I like the character of Mackenzie Davis, Grace. I thought this character was going to be like super cringy, but actually turned out to be a pretty good character. I like Mackenzie Davis. I really liked her in Blade Runner 2049. I thought she did a good job. But here's the thing. I like the idea of her being this cybernetically enhanced woman that has to fight off other robots. That would have been a cool idea if it was made in an original movie. If she was in an original movie and that was her character, I think that would have been a lot better than just doing a Terminator film all over again. It was nice to see Linda Hamilton back in a Terminator film. So it was cool to see her. Arnold comes back again, but again, they got to go with the ridiculous idea. He was too old for Terminator Genesis. He's definitely too old for Terminator Dark Fate. He's just aged out. Like, I just can't take the T-800 serious anymore as like an old guy with a drapery business named Carl. Thought it was stupid. Like, why would a Terminator do that? Like, it didn't even make sense after he killed John Connor. So that's one of the things. Obviously, a lot of people didn't like this. I didn't like it either. It's like they never know what to do with John Connor, so they just kill him off. And they don't actually stop Judgment Day to just delay it. It's a different AI, and I don't know, it just gets stupid. Now, the character of Danny Ramos, she was okay, but the one part I thought where the character got really ridiculous was when they showed sequences that took place in the future, and she saved Grace from those bandits, and then she was like the leader of the resistance. She was so small, she looked like a little child, and I just couldn't take her serious as the leader of the resistance. She just looked like a little kid. So it just looked ridiculous. In the present day, when they're on the run, it's different. But because she's just supposed to be a girl on the run and that they're saving. But when you see her in the future as the future leader, it just looks dumb. The other thing is the Rev 9 Terminator. The actor who played that character, he did a good job. And he kind of did a job where you can see how now the Terminators have advanced, because this one can blend in, can act much more human than any of the past Terminators can. Where Robert Patrick's Liquid Terminator, he did a better job than the T-800, but still, he was played in a way where there's something just slightly off about his behaviors. Where the Rev 9 can easily blend in, knows all the slang and lingo and everything, blend in with the humans. But again, I'm glad I did not see it in the theater, because I don't think it was worth the money to go see it in the theater. So that's why I rented it for $1. So now moving on to Terminator Salvation. So now this one is kind of like the standout Terminator movie of all the bad Terminator movies, because it was the only one that tried to break some new ground by actually taking place, by at least trying. It completely failed at what it was trying to do, but giving us the future war, which Terminator fans have wanted for a long time, but it failed at doing it. For one reason, I was really skeptical about this movie and didn't think I was going to like it just after viewing the trailer, because the future that they show is not the future that we see in Kyle Reese's flashbacks from the first Terminator movie, and then the flashbacks that we see in Terminator 2 of that future war. James Cameron did such an excellent job of making this future look like an absolutely miserable nightmare place to be for humanity, where humanity was just on the verge of going extinct and just was completely desperate. I think this movie failed to capture that. And the other thing is the character that Sam Worthington played. Like, that was a stupid character and shouldn't have even been in the movie. The movie should have been about John Connor, but he kind of takes a backseat to this other character who is like another augmented human that's part machine. And it just was stupid. And this is a movie I've never rewatched since I've seen it in the theater. Same thing with Terminator Genesis. I've never rewatched that movie since I've seen it in the theater. So now moving on to Terminator 3 Rise of the Machine. It came out in 2003. So of all the bad Terminator movies that have come out since Terminator 2, this, in my opinion, this is my favorite one, actually. This is the one I think is the best one, which is not really saying a whole lot. But it's the one that I've watched the most. To me, that's kind of at least a measuring stick for how much you like a movie, is its rewatchability. Where all the other movies on this list, I've seen them all one time, and that's it. Just when I seen them in the theater or when I rented them on Telus. Terminator 3, I actually liked it enough Now, when I went to see this movie, I knew it wasn't going to be as good as Terminator 2, but I figured it might be half decent. And it was also the last movie, even though I think they were pushing it at the time with this one, it's the last movie uh, where Arnold could play a Terminator and not look completely aged out of the role. So he could still, this is the last time he could pull off playing a Terminator without them having to explain why he looks so old, even though I think they were pushing the envelope with this film. And I thought the Terminatrix was a cool Terminator, so they went with a woman Terminator for this one that goes back in time and does the killing. But same thing, she has like an endoskeleton with the liquid metal over top. Nick Stahl as John Connor was okay, but I wish Edward Furlong had his act together and he came back and played it. That would have felt like more of a continuation of Terminator 2. But one thing I did like about the movie, and it did stand out, was the ending. That they actually destroyed the Earth, or not destroyed it, but at least they show the nuclear holocaust, all the missiles going off, and Skynet becoming activating, and all that kind of thing. That I thought was pretty cool at the end of the movie. And I have seen this movie like a few times since, and I liked it enough that I actually have this on DVD. This one. Every now and then, I'll throw it in and give it a watch. The last time I seen it was a few years ago when me and a buddy of mine went to a Comic-Con, and we spent the night in another city. So the hotel room we were staying in, this movie came on the TV, so we sat down, watched it, and we were thoroughly entertained. So now, this one might be a bit of a surprise. My number 2 is Terminator 2 Judgment Day, which came out in 1991. So most people would assume that if you're a Terminator fan, number 2 would be your favorite film. And for a long time, it actually was. Terminator 2 was my favorite Terminator movie. For years and years and years. Now, I'll just talk about the reasons why I love this film. Now, when I say I like it more, when I say I don't like it as much as the first Terminator, it's by a very, very narrow margin. Like, it's very, very close. But I'll explain that why I like the other Terminator movie more when I get to that one. But I just want to talk about what I love about this movie right now. So there's so much to go on about this movie. This movie I could not wait to see. Like, I was so juiced and excited to see this film. Every bit of news I could dig up on this movie, I read it. I remember when the fan magazine came out, the official movie magazine came out for this film, I ran out and bought it. When Guns N' Roses did the music video, You Could Be Mine, I taped it on Much Music and watched it over and over and over again. Also, I just loved the story. I thought the story was good. It was like a natural progression of where now we get to see John Connor as a kid, and we get to see his character arc. And I like how it started off where he didn't believe anything his mom told him. He just thought she was nuts. And I really thought the Liquid Terminator was such a cool idea when I first saw that on screen. It was just awesome. Like, it just seemed like such a worthy foe for the Terminator. And at this point, the Terminator is still a very serious character, the Arnold Schwarzenegger Terminator, even though there are some comedic moments in this movie. He still comes off as very powerful, threatening, and menacing, even though he's a good guy in this film. So I just loved it. And the other thing about this movie is when you're a kid and you get excited for movies and you go and see movies, you get excited for movies and movies impact you in a way that as a kid that they just don't when you're an adult. Like, you can get excited for movies as an adult, and you can go see them and you can think they're cool and think they got a great story, but for whatever reason, they just don't have that same impact on you as they would if you were a child. So this, when I was growing up, Terminator 2 was like my last experience of that. Like, of me seeing a movie like as a kid and being super excited and just being blown away by the movie and just leaving the movie and being just like juiced, just on fire by the movie. Like, just so excited after seeing it. Like, this was the last movie that did that for me. Because after that, I started to enter, like, more teenage years and stuff like that. So This was the last movie that I experienced that with, so that's why another reason why I really love this film. But now let's get on to number 1, the original Terminator. So why now I'll explain why I like this one a little bit more than Part 2. Now, for years, Part 2 was my favorite one out of the 2 Terminator movies. And but as time went on and I kind of got older and I would rewatch the movies, I started to find that every time I wanted to watch a Terminator movie, I would always throw in the first one and rewatch that one. So I rewatched the first one a lot more than I rewatched Part 2. And I started to grow like more and more of an appreciation for it that I didn't have when I was younger, just because Terminator 2 was just seemed like such a much bigger movie. But what I like about the first Terminator, why it has an edge over Terminator 2 for me, is it's like the most simplest, purest form of the Terminator and the Terminator story, because it works as a perfect standalone movie. It's a standalone movie that did not need a sequel. Like when the opening shot shows the future war, and you got that text on the screen that says, the war between man and machine had raged on, and but the war would not be won here in the future, but here now in the present. So this is like the final battle between the machines and man or humanity. And the other thing about it, it has one of my favorite character arcs in films, the character arc of Sarah Connor. Like if I were to do a top 5 favorite character arcs, her character arc would be on that list. She just starts off from like the soft, naive, innocent girl, just like everyday the girl next door type person, to like this hardened warrior at the end, where she has to like step up and become the soldier that Kyle Reese is saying that she's going to be, so she can end up. So you believe it at the end of the movie. Like, okay, I believe it now that this woman is going to go on and train her son to be the future leader of the resistance. So that's why I really love this movie. Whenever I feel like watching the Terminator movie, I'll usually throw in the first Terminator. And the other thing I really like about this movie that the other movies don't have is I find the low budget quality or the low budget look, because it is a low budget movie. It was a low budget. It was like a B movie. It has a B movie look and feel to it. That gives it like this grittiness and almost makes it more scary than the other films. And the other thing about it, like Terminator 2 is a great action movie, but the first Terminator, it's a horror movie on top of being an action movie. So it has like this horror aspect to it that the other films don't have. And when they show the sequence of the future, and Kyle Reese and how life looks, it's so desperate looking, and it's such a nightmare that like you would not want to live in that post nuclear apocalyptic future after a nuclear war. So those are the and the character of the Terminator played by Arnold Schwarzenegger is scary. Like the Terminator scared me the first time I saw it as a kid. Like the character just seemed unstoppable, killing machine, and it was a frightening character. So that's why the first one is my favorite one, and that's why all those reasons of why it edged out Terminator 2 over the years as my favorite Terminator movie. So that's my thoughts on all the Terminator movies, and that's how I rank them all. Be curious to know how everyone else feels about these films, and if you've seen Terminator Dark Fate, and if you liked it, let me know why you liked it, or if you hated it, let me know that too. So that's everything I got to say in this video. Let me know what you think in the comments section, and I will see you at the next one. I'd like to say thank you to all of my subscribers. I appreciate you all in helping this channel grow. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, don't forget to hit the bell icon so you'll be notified when new videos are uploaded.